we happen to be he vacationed recently in the same area that I am living and have my office, which is Topgolf, so that's kind of cool. We have a little bit of a shared history regarding theme parks and past lives in terms of supporting that stuff. So that was kind of a cool connection. So I will say, welcome, Grant. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us on Business Spotlight.
Excellent. Pleasure to be here. And thank you, Bill.
Thank you. So if we want to get into a little bit about DMCG, what exactly, how would you summarize it, and what kind of humans do we serve in what way?
Sure. So look, the core business is definitely talent acquisition, but coming at it in a slightly different approach in the sense that it really is about finding the right people, their careers that allow them to express themselves passionately. So DMCG, a little bit more focused and moving towards perhaps overall growth consulting. The talent side will always be a core factor.
Okay, excellent. So is there, I'm going into the nuts and bolts a little bit, but is there a specific way you find skill sets and organize them, or, what's your, just send out, I mean, yeah, that would be my just a curiosity. I'm sure you have methodologies. We're not going to talk about specifics, but is that what you do first? You find out what sort of skill sets are going to be needed, or what?
So initially you probably start closer to the aspirational goals of the business, where they want to be in the year or two, rather than looking at the role specifically to understand, again, what that growth pathway is like for not just the individual we'll be hiring, but the overall group. I guess approached a little bit differently in the sense that almost nobody in DMCG is a recruiter or has that background. Myself, 13 years in digital marketing. Alan Smith, who leads up the Asia Pacific, sort of is handpicking the people with the background in the industry. So all of us have hired the last 3 or 4 positions I've held. 5 or 6 years have been hiring in the team that I need to complete what I have to with the project wise.
I see.
So can really, I guess, identify quickly whether or not we're looking for a particular type of person to fit a particular type of team. So as long as we can understand the culture of the business that we're working for, then we just leverage to the network. So perhaps better connected to people that are making moves in the industry, having a little bit more of the ability to reach out to others, I suppose, than somebody that has just been recruiting for the last 10 years.
Right.
And usually able to find quite unique pieces of talent. The other difference I would say for DMCG is that it's set up globally. It is a true global business. There's offices in the US and in the UK looking after the Americas and Europe. And for example, instead of trying to look to hire and bring somebody in on a visa from another country when there's a skill gap here in Australia, we just reach out to our network of expats and say, hey, are you looking to return home from the US, or are you looking to return home from Amsterdam? And we have a network there that allows us to bring some really talented Australian people home into the roles that they've been looking for that they couldn't find here before when they left.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's a good find right there. So almost repatriating the brain back into the country.
Indeed.
I like that. I like it. So I'm assuming because of this activity, something that was a global arrangement was the COVID-19 situation. How did that impact your business during those years, and what did we do to respond after it sort of settled back out?
Well, I'm fresh into DMCG.
Okay.
Literally, you'd say official start September. Kicked off a little bit early, understanding.
Wow, so good. So we didn't have to. Oh, good. You kind of dodged that.
Good.
A little
I was still working agency land during COVID, so that was an interesting time. I can certainly tell you some stories about that one, but
it's a totally different podcast.
Indeed.
All right. Cool. Well, if that's the case, since we're still in a burgeoning time frame for you, what are the biggest issues that you had to overcome regarding that, or contributing since September-ish?
Yeah. So, well, look, I wouldn't say any issues per se. And to give you a little bit of background, I guess, throwing back to the comment I made earlier about DMCG looking to be more of a consultancy and growth. The CIO is Alan, based here in Australia. So we're looking at launching a Web3 focused growth marketing service.
Okay.
The concept is that if we can help emerging businesses in the blockchain grow faster, they'll have more need for the core business, that being that talent acquisition. So hoping to set up a nice symbiotic relationship there where we're not looking to make money out of the growth marketing, but we can come in almost as a virtual CMO, offer these businesses some top level guidance that may not be available if you've got like founders that are specialized in the tech field and you've have your CEO running the business. A lot of people are missing that little piece of marketing key, and that awareness can be the difference between, making it or dying off.
Yeah, wow, I would say so. Okay. Very exciting though. If you think about it, the people who you would want to click into and connect with must be having some high upside capabilities to their, whatever business that they're putting together. Must be pretty exciting. So
it is actually.
Are you since and it ties into what you just mentioned about how you would think about what's the overall goal? What is their, near and long-term goals? Because a lot of companies tend to hire only on the problem that's in front of their face, right? And you're saying, no, let's add some discipline to this entire decision process that will serve you long term. I very much kudos for making sure that kind of conversation happens, because once you solve the problem, what's next? Is that person going to be the thing that can solve the next series of I don't want to call them challenges, but opportunities, and take advantage of them and work well with your team in the long run? You're probably thinking about all those things,
Indeed.
Right. So if that's the case, what do you think is as yourself as a business leader, what would you say has been something that you learned on your journey to get to where you are with this company?
Ooh. Look, it's potentially just pace, I guess. Have entered from the agency side. Agencies definitely run at a reasonable level. Prior to that, it was client side, maybe not quite as fast. DMCG in particular, you really are solving in almost a live environment. So you might have the rest of the team, but in particular, when you're trying to hire those right talent for the next role, in demand. So the difference of a couple of days in feedback from the client, or just keeping people engaged, can see them move on to another business very rapidly.
Right. So the future, it's really future paced, but practical in the now for what you're bringing. I like it. I think if we think about what you see in the future for your business, what do you see as the main, I wouldn't call them challenges, but as your business as a whole, what would you see as the pace or the obstacles you want to overcome there?
Look, I think one of the themes that's emerging at the moment is a switch to output rather than hours. So a focus on what's being delivered.
Yeah, how to measure that, etc.
Yeah. And the traditional, particularly agency land, where they're almost selling hours and selling time, going to be harder and harder to benchmark that against an employee who wants to be a little bit freer to do what they like in their own time and their own, particularly with this switch towards full remote. How do you really capture what hours are being input into the business versus having specific deliverables and an expectation on that side?
That's interesting. Yes. Solve that puzzle, and it definitely is a very good niche to continue to serve out there in the marketplace. Yeah, I like it. Are you is that consistent with how your clients are asking for your assistance? Is that kind of how, is that the thinking they're bringing to the table too? More of an outcome-based measurement structure versus time?
Yeah, so look, it's definitely a challenge that they're all dealing with in different levels. Some are doing
Right.
maybe a better job than others, but we're seeing initiatives now where it's like, okay, if we're going to hold on to this person, we need to allow them to go to Europe for 3 months and experience life and travel around. And how do we make sure that we're not losing them for essentially what's like a mini gap year or something? It's so there's people are setting up. They've already got the capabilities to work fully remote. They're just refining that to a better level now that they've had time to do so, and they're allowing people to go and potentially work from the beach in Thailand for 2 months. So that's the working arrangement that's going to be expected by more and more people as it's rolled out. Like if your best buddies from school are all over in Bali surfing in the mornings and still getting paid to do their 9 to 5 job, delivering as they need to against their the KPIs or the OKRs, whichever you'd like to phrase it up as. Why are you stuck signing in and signing out with a thumbprint at 9 o'clock?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's I think that and tying into what actually gets done that provides a meaningful change into the business via the person that you're bringing onto the team is I could see that being completely changed now that more individuals are just deciding in life to be more mobile. They're even more than before, I think.
Yeah.
And their general relationship to their employers is starting to change. So I'd like to see that you're adapting to that sensibility, a different sensibility, if you would, that you see. Yeah.
Look, it's certainly not going to work for every type of role and every type of industry, but where there's clear value that's being contributed by the employee, it makes more sense. I can see why there is a transition happening.
Yeah, I agreed. And they're almost like, as a coach, what I would say to a lot of my clients that are business owners, they are as stuck into a business even more so than some of their employees. And this world is now starting to realize, hey, employees need to breathe a little bit and then bring those experiences back into your work output, if you would. Same thing with business owners. I almost sometimes have to force them to do some hobbies so that they get more creative in solving their own problems on their own. Yeah. So with regards to your relationship to that concept of coaching, have you ever had anybody who's been a mentor to you along the way?
Yeah, I've actually been quite lucky. I've had a couple of mentors, a couple of people that I look to for guidance. Um, all of a sudden, it's gotten quite busy.
Yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it.
That's all right.
So go ahead if you had a point.
No, I was just saying, for example, I've been lucky enough to when I embarked on my career right back at the beginning, I was freelancing and contracting and picked up a business partner who we ended up launching our own mini studio on the Sunshine Coast. Have just stayed in touch with him. He's gone from success to success and now runs one of Brisbane's, I guess, more credible signage agencies. They're doing, all the work for AIG throughout the Australia Pacific, and just being able to tap his brain and get some guidance on the way he's viewing life at the moment has been a massive plus. And on top of that, one of my first more professional, well, that's not even true, but when I returned to Australia from the UK, working in the like the action sports sector over there, I picked up a role with Penny Skateboards here in, Absolute Board Co, which ran Penny Skateboards, and built a really strong relationship with the CFO there, Alan, and have just managed to carry that forward. So to this date, have been able to catch up with him and get some really solid guidance. So yeah, it's good to have that kind of connections within your life.
I agree. Well, some of the people that end up guiding others are so influential, even in a short period of time. Sometimes a 20-minute conversation can change your life as a business owner, so it's kind of cool. Yeah, thanks for that. Cool story. And so what would you say to somebody just thinking in general about starting or going into a business for themselves? Kind of like what you.
Oh, look, I really guess it would be considering all the additional labor that comes in behind the scenes. So I certainly wasn't prepared when I, exited uni. Doing that sole trader life was a little bit easier than trying to, a little bit easier than trying to run a business. As
Yes.
well, company structure and for the, I guess, additional overhead that comes with that.
Yeah, overhead and work overhead, labor overhead, right? It's
Yeah,
either overhead one direction or you do it yourself type of thing for
yeah,
a little while. Yeah. Chief cook and bottle washer, my dad used to say. Chief
indeed,
cook and bottle
indeed.
washer. So, are there any offers that you have going that I should have the public know about? Anybody, anything like that, or a newsletter, or is there just where should I send people who want to learn more about what you have going there?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, obviously the DMCG Global website is a great place to head to. The majority of roles that we're working on are listed up there.
Mm,
Although we do fill a lot in the background, sometimes, where possible, actually, between receiving the brief from the client and having that person in the network, it can go before it's even listed live. So I
wow.
guess it's
Okay.
just reaching out to the team, myself, Alan, Tom here in Brisbane,
Yeah.
and just being in touch with the person that's sort of representing the field that you're interested in.
Okay. Thank you for that. So we tend to wrap up business spotlight with a cool. It's not a zinger question, but it might make you go, I don't know. So, and that question is, what's the best advice would you give an 18-year-old version of yourself?
Uh, if you really know what it is that you're passionate about
Hmm.
and wanting to achieve, just go out and volunteer. Don't even try and pick up that role. Just offer up your services, be there, uh, show up. And if you can gain that experience in that field that you're really wanting to be working in, that experience will do you the world of good in terms of starting that
Hmm.
career.
Yeah, I like that. That, by the way, your answer is very consistent with a lot of the other people who especially the entrepreneurial types, is get in there and say yes, right? Get in there and say yes. And I just, if it's okay with you, give a little coach's perspective on that attitude. See, it's not in the dark saying yes. When you're saying yes to something that is consistent with a goal, when you make a distinction, as you learn things, people you get to know, all that stuff is in the service of the goal in the first place. So
Mm.
saying yes to things with no goal at all is a fast way to get confused and burned out, right? But if
Yeah.
you already have something that you're passionate about and you really want to get into, doing more of it, the things that come at you from saying yes, they are almost always useful.
Yeah.
They're almost always going to be something that is in your little, Batman utility belt that when you need it, it's there because you said yes 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you know? So good on you there. Very good. I would say very good piece of information there. Just say yes and learn along the way with a goal in mind, with some sort of passion in mind that you're following. Yeah, I love it. Thank you for that. I again when I talk to business owners, it's always a good journey. This conversation was a lot of fun. Grant, thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
And again, we'll send people to your website. It's dmcgglobal.com, not .au, but just .com. And go check them out. Thanks again, Grant, for your time. And we're going to just wrap up here, but wish everybody a wonderful day.